Hey guys, we're here today in Dragon's Dogma 2, going over ways to sneak into Battahl before you have a permit if you're looking to access the area before Captain Brant sends you there. All three of the methods I'm going to show you in this video originate from the Checkpoint Rest Town, which is found to the far west of Vernworth and can be accessed quickly by taking an Oxcart from the western side of Vernworth itself. Once you're at the Checkpoint Rest Town, I recommend sleeping in an inn because all three of these paths have their own complications and it can be very easy to die trying to get into Battahl if you are at a lower level. Path number 1 to get into Battahl is to take a covered ox cart inside of Checkpoint Rest Town that will cross through the guarded gate inside the town. In my experience, in order to get the covered ox cart to spawn, the standard ox cart leaving Checkpoint Rest Town and heading to Vernworth has to have left the town. This means that if you have just slept in the inn, you can wait in the morning until it has left, and then when you cross the stone bridge, the covered ox cart should render in. You can also doze off on a bench till midday, or even get this covered ox cart to come in the evening or the night, as long as the other ox cart is not there. Every now and then, when I would go across the bridge to render the covered ox cart in, it would not pop up, and I would simply have to go back into the town and give it a few moments, maybe around 30 seconds or a minute, and then go back across the bridge and it would render in. This covered ox cart does not exist and does not move while you have not rendered it in, which means you cannot simply wait in town for it to come in, and it requires you to go across the bridge and get it to spawn. This allows you to spawn it at any time during the day as long as the other ox cart is not in its way or in its path. Once you've gotten this covered ox cart to spawn, you simply get inside of it and you'll have to wait for about 5 minutes for it to travel through Checkpoint Rest Town and get up to the gate. The guards will open the gate and allow you to go through. As a bonus, this method also gives you the achievement of sneaking into Battahl illegally. Once you've crossed to the Battahl side of the gate, if you leave the ox cart, the guards will attack you since you have crossed in illegally. If you wait for the ox cart to leave their area and then get out, you'll be safe from those guards. They will, however, attack you if you head back up to Checkpoint Rest Town at any point, even after a night's sleep at the campfire. These guys will not forget the fact that they did not notice you sneaking into the country, and they will hold it against you that you didn't inform them or let them know in any way that you were breaking their laws. This method is the quickest one to get into Battahl, but you do need to plan your escape out of Battahl and make sure that you have a fairy stone with you, or you will have to take one of the other two paths we'll go over in order to get out of Battahl. If you are looking to get to the city of Battahl quickly, you can get out of this ox cart as soon as you get into Battahl and let the guards subdue you, and they will take you to the jail in Battahl City. And then you can work out how to get out of jail in Battahl City however you choose. Each time I've been put in there, one of the crates inside of the room I was in had a makeshift jail key because the guards at the Battahl jail would like you to rate it with a very high star review, so they leave you all the amenities you need to be comfortable, like the keys to escape. If you don't want to risk jail keys not being in your cell, you can talk to Ibrahim at his scrap store in Checkpoint Rest Town, and he sells makeshift jail keys there that you can purchase before going through the checkpoint and heading to jail to guarantee you have a way out. The second path to get into Battahl is probably the most dangerous one, and it is taking the western path through the mountains that can be accessed by heading west on the river underneath the bridge in Checkpoint Rest Town. This path is littered with danger, with rattlers, knackers, red wolves, and a lot of large creatures blocking your way. But there are 3 particular areas that we're going to go over in this video that I deem the more complicated or dangerous sections. The first one is very early on in the path. When you are following the river going underneath the bridge in Checkpoint Rest Town heading towards the west, you will come across a rock formation that you will have to climb over in order to get into a cave tunnel. This cave tunnel is filled with rattlers, and if you follow the cave tunnel straight through, you will actually not be on the correct pathway. What you want to do is, as you are getting to the end of the cave where you can see outside of it and see the landscape and trees, you want to turn to your right inside the cave tunnel and climb and scale up some rocks inside the tunnel. This will lead you up onto a ledge that will have a pathway on it as you exit the cave tunnel that ascends up the mountain and puts you on the right path. The second part will be after you follow this path for a while and cross a wooden bridge. At this wooden bridge, there will be a slight fork in the road with a trail going downhill on the left side towards a campfire and a trail going on the right side uphill. First of all, I recommend camping at this section to replenish your hit points since the next area will be incredibly difficult. Regardless if you camp or not, you're going to head up the hill to your right and quickly be surprised by a Cyclops hiding in the rocks. You can fight this Cyclops, or you can continue to run past him as you will quickly enter a low cave that he cannot follow you in. Once you emerge from the opposite end of this cave, you will be inside of a persistent storm, and as you follow the path into the storm, you will quickly be surprised by a Minotaur, typically from your back. While you're in this clearing with the Minotaur, to the south side of the road there is a ruined building just up a hill with a Chimera waiting inside of it. So if you decide to fight the Minotaur, try and keep yourself contained so that you don't wander into the Chimera's area and aggro it as well. If you decide to run past these two large creatures and continue the road between the mountain pass, there will be a Minotaur waiting for you just around the corner, which makes this section incredibly dangerous, with a Cyclops, Minotaur, Chimera, and another Minotaur quickly followed in succession. So if you fight all of them, your party can take a pretty big beating. That's assuming you can take them down at all depending on your level. However, if you run past them, as soon as you exit the stormed area and past the last Minotaur, you will come across a winding and descending section of the path that is going through a bunch of knackers. These knackers with their leap attack can do some pretty huge damage to you, especially at lower levels. Try and avoid these guys as you continue down the pathway. Eventually you'll come across a small stone walkway going over another stream. If you look to your right and slightly below you at this point, you will see another cave. You'll go inside this cave and work your way through some rattlers and some slime, and come out the other side, finally having reached Battahl. This is where the last complicated part of this path is. You'll arrive in Battahl on the top of a cliff ledge, and need to work your way down. What you want to do is get tight to the mountain on your right hand side. You'll see a harpy nest close by, down a couple stone ledges. Go down to this harpy nest, and then you'll turn to your left, which is facing to the east, and you'll see a waterfall. You'll go over and see a crossing at this waterfall. Once you cross this waterfall, you're going to continue heading down a couple stone ledges, and get to a somewhat flat spot of the rock formations. At this point, if you keep heading to the east, you'll notice that the rocks start heading uphill again, and this is the time where you do not want to follow them uphill. You want to start a U-turn or a 180, going to the south, and then heading back to the west, on these rocks, slightly descending, and seeing another section of the waterfall. You're going to cross over at this waterfall again, but won't have any rocks to help you, so you'll have to cross through the water. Make sure you stay to the north or right side of the waterfall, where the south end of it, or your left side of it, can be a little bit deep and you can be taken by the brine. Once you cross this last waterfall, you arrive at your final stone ledges descending down into Battahl. This last section of winding stone drop-offs and waterfalls is very difficult because there are harpies all over. There's a drake at the bottom of the cliff ledge that you might accidentally aggro, and I have also been attacked by a griffin while on these ledges. And this path also puts you on the far west of Battahl, very far away from Battahl and not very close to the checkpoint rest town gate, so it can be hard to traverse and very difficult to get anywhere that's somewhat civilized. So I don't recommend taking this pathway at all. There are a few pros to taking this pathway over the other two, and that's if you have too much stuff in your inventory, too many wake stones, and generally have a lot of consumables that you need out of your inventory. This path will burn those up very quickly and very efficiently, clearing up precious space in your inventory. The third path that I would take is to the east of Checkpoint Rest Town and follows the coastline to work your way into Battahl. I would leave Checkpoint Rest Town on the main road to the north or northeast and follow it all the way into this area over here. Once you run into this area, you will probably run into a drake, walking around or blocking a trail heading to the south. You can run by this drake and take the trail to the south into the Guerco Cavern. Once inside the Guerco Cavern, you'll encounter a bunch of hobgoblins. You want to follow the bridges on the left side of this cavern and cross straight through, and if a bridge unfortunately breaks on you while you're battling the hobgoblins, there's a small ledge you can jump to your left or to the east in the cavern, and will take you onto a ledge running parallel to the bridges and bypass both of them. You'll make it through the first part of the cavern and end up on a ledge outside and need to head south until you come across the second part of Guerco Cavern. This second part is very quick. You will enter in and there will be a stone golem who you can run directly past heading towards the south and find another exit very quickly. After exiting this second section, you'll come to a small fork where you will have a left side trail that takes cliff ledges all the way around with harpies along it, or you can follow the main road that will have some knackers and bandits on it. I would take whichever one of these has enemies that you are more comfortable fighting, as running by either of them is not too effective. Both these paths should converge at some small ruined buildings and a campfire near a large wooden bridge. You're going to cross this wooden bridge and quickly come to a fork in the road with an uphill going right and a downhill section going to the left. You are taking the downhill to the left, heading towards the shore. As you're taking this small trail to the shore, on the right hand side you will spot the red clay mountains of Battahl. It's at this point that you're going to curve to the right and go up some stone ledges and find yourself heading uphill, and this trail will lead you into Battahl, arriving inside of the north entrance of the main city, Battahl. Each of these different paths have their own difficulties, with path number 1 in the Oxcart, leaving the guards at the checkpoint aggro to you, at least until you've gone to jail. Path number 2 is incredibly difficult, has a ton of large creatures on it, and is altogether terrible. Path number 3 takes a little bit longer to get to in the Guerco Cavern, but the mobs are a lot more manageable, the large creatures are avoidable, and it leads you directly into Battahl itself. Depending on the reason that you're heading to Battahl early, might make you want to take a different path. If you're looking to go unlock the Trickster vocation as quick as you can, then I would recommend taking the Oxcart through Checkpoint Rest Town, as it brings you very close to the Trickster NPC. If you're looking at going to get the Warfarer or the Magic Archer, I would recommend taking the Guerco Cavern that takes you into Battahl, which is a much closer location to those two. Make sure whichever path you do take that you do have an exit strategy, ideally being a fairy stone back to where you want to go, or you will have to backtrack either path 2 or path 3 to get out of Battahl, since you are not allowed through the checkpoint until you have a permit. Regardless of your reasoning to get into Battahl early, hopefully one of these paths helps you out and you can find some success in your adventures. Let me know down in the comments if you found any other interesting ways to get into Battahl that might help a fellow Arisen. Thanks for watching, I will see you next time.